For Willie Nelson, life never unfolded in a straight line, yet looking back, it feels as though everything landed exactly where it was meant to be, as if the twists, turns, and music were always guiding him toward a place where survival and song became inseparable. Along the way, friendships, particularly with men like Kris Kristofferson, shaped not only his career, but also his will to keep moving forward when the road seemed heavy and uncertain. Every setback, every moment of doubt, and every note he played contributed to a life in which music, resilience, and connection were inseparable, forming a narrative as authentic as the songs that made him a legend. Born into hardship in a changing world, Willie Hugh Nelson was born on April 29, 1933, in Abbott, Texas, a small town whose quiet streets and simple homes bore witness to the struggles of the Great Depression. Hunger was common, hope was often fragile, and life moved at the pace of necessity rather than choice. Before he could even speak, Willie's life had already been shaped by absence. His mother left when he was a baby, and his father followed not long after, leaving him and his sister Bobby to be raised by their grandparents, Nancy and Alfred Nelson. They provided love, discipline, and a strong moral compass, but could offer little comfort against the harsh realities of the world outside their small home. In that environment, young Willie learned early that life could be both harsh and beautiful, and that survival required resilience, creativity, and a willingness to make the best of what you had. Music as shelter and salvation. The Nelson home had almost nothing, and winters were bitterly cold, with newspapers tacked to the walls for insulation. Yet, in the midst of scarcity, Willie discovered a gift that would shape the rest of his life, a simple guitar given to him by his grandfather when he was just 6 years old. From the moment he held it, music became a sanctuary, a way to process fear, loneliness, and the many small losses that had already touched his life. By the age of 7, he was writing songs and performing wherever he could, earning money that helped keep food on the table while quietly crafting a future that he could barely imagine. Music became a language of survival, a way to connect with the world and find meaning, even when circumstances seemed uncertain. Faith, curiosity, and early rebellion raised in a deeply religious household, Willie sang in the Methodist church choir every Sunday, learning the harmonies and rhythms of gospel music while also wrestling with feelings of guilt and curiosity. Outside the walls of the church, he was drawn to the sounds that spoke to freedom and expression, secretly listening to Bob Wills and other early country influences that his grandmother might not have approved of. The tension between faith and personal curiosity planted the earliest seeds of the outlaw spirit that would define him later in life, a quiet but steadfast refusal to be confined by others' expectations and a determination to follow his own path, even when it seemed uncertain or risky. Early loss that shaped him. When Willie was still a young boy, his grandfather Alfred passed away from pneumonia, leaving a profound void in his life. Alfred had been the man who taught him not just music, but also the value of hard work, resilience, and integrity. Suddenly, Willie was thrust into responsibilities that no child should bear, helping with chores, tending to animals, and contributing to the household just to survive. This early encounter with grief and responsibility did not harden him into cynicism, but instead nurtured independence, teaching him that life could be unpredictable and that he would need to rely on his own inner strength to navigate its challenges. Searching for direction. After graduating high school, Willie briefly joined the U.S. Air Force, seeking structure and purpose, but a back injury cut that chapter short. Once again adrift, he returned to music as both refuge and lifeline, taking radio jobs, recording songs independently, selling records directly to listeners, and scraping together income however he could. These formative years taught him that talent alone was not enough to guarantee success. Persistence, adaptability, and a willingness to embrace the uncertain were equally important. Every rejection and setback became part of the groundwork that would eventually support his extraordinary career. Nashville dreams and hard lessons. By the late 1950s and early 1960s, Willie arrived in Nashville carrying big dreams and little money. He slept in his car, wrote songs late into the night, and watched as other artists turned his lyrics into hits while he struggled to make ends meet. These experiences were humbling and often painful, teaching him valuable lessons about ownership, exploitation, and the business of music. He witnessed firsthand how talent could be celebrated without necessarily being rewarded, and those early disappointments quietly shaped the determination and independence that would later define him. Standing at the edge. There were moments when the weight of rejection, poverty, and uncertainty threatened to overwhelm him. At times, he questioned whether he could continue, whether life itself was worth the struggle. Yet music and friendship intervened repeatedly. A song placement, a small performance, a helping hand from someone who believed in him and reminded him that survival often depends on tiny lifelines and the people who see potential even when you cannot. It was in these moments of vulnerability that Willie learned one of life's most important lessons, that perseverance and connection are inseparable, and that even when the road seems impossibly steep, small steps can carry you forward. Honky tonk schooling. Back in Texas, Willie cut his teeth in the honky tonks, the rough and tumble bars where music was loud, tempers were short, and the world demanded toughness and resilience. He learned to command a room, to stand his ground, and to navigate environments that reflected the chaos he often felt inside. These early performances were more than practice. They were lessons in self-reliance, improvisation, and survival, preparing him for an industry that could be just as demanding and unforgiving as the small towns and bars of his youth. Finding his authentic voice. Even as he achieved early chart success, Willie found the constraints of polished Nashville expectations suffocating. Labels attempted to mold him into a version of himself that felt artificial, and he chose to resist, walking away from security in favor of authenticity. That decision brought financial uncertainty, but also laid the foundation for a creative rebirth, one in which his music reflected his experiences, his emotions, and his unfiltered perspective. In choosing honesty over convention, he embraced a path that would ultimately define the outlaw movement in country music: Austin and musical freedom. In the early 1970s, Willie returned to Texas and discovered a vibrant, eclectic music scene in Austin, where hippies and cowboys shared dance floors and creative ideas flourished without judgment. It was in this environment that albums like Shotgun Willie and Red-Headed Stranger were born, raw and stripped-down records that defied expectations but captured the essence of honesty and emotional truth. In Austin, Willie felt at home in a way he never had before, finding freedom in the city's openness and inspiration in its blend of cultures, communities, and musical experimentation. Success on his own terms. The explosive success of Red-Headed Stranger proved that following instinct and trusting authenticity could yield rewards far beyond financial gain. It reshaped country music, opening doors for artists who did not fit neatly into Nashville's formulaic rules. Willie's triumph demonstrated that innovation, courage, and staying true to oneself could not only create art, but also change the trajectory of an entire genre. In doing so, he inspired generations of musicians to embrace individuality over conformity. Brotherhood on the road. Throughout his career, Willie found a deeper form of fulfillment in his collaborations with artists like Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, and Kris Kristofferson. The Highwaymen, as they became known, were bonded not by image or commercial goals, but by shared experience, mutual respect, and a commitment to authenticity. Through these relationships, Willie experienced camaraderie, mentorship, and creative partnership in ways that extended far beyond professional success, forming a network of support that helped sustain him through the unpredictable ups and downs of life in music, fame, setbacks, and resilience. With fame came its own challenges, from public scrutiny and legal battles to financial hardships, including a major tax crisis that temporarily stripped him of almost everything he had. Rather than succumb to despair, Willie approached these setbacks with creativity, resourcefulness, and the steady resolve that had been cultivated in his youth. Each challenge became an opportunity for reinvention, demonstrating that resilience is not merely surviving hardship, but finding a way to transform it into growth, art, and purpose. Personal heartbreak. Behind the public persona, Willie endured profound personal loss, including the passing of his son and the collapse of earlier marriages. These experiences were deeply painful, but also provided opportunities for reflection and growth, forcing him to confront unhealthy patterns and prioritize the people and practices that truly mattered. Through these trials, he developed a renewed sense of empathy, an appreciation for companionship, and an understanding of the delicate balance between love, loss, and personal responsibility. Stability with Annie D'Angelo. When Willie married Annie D'Angelo, his life found a measure of stability it had not previously known. Annie became his anchor, providing accountability, support, and structure without compromising the independence that defined him. Together, they nurtured a family grounded in music, integrity, and shared values, and Willie was able to rebuild not only his health and finances, but also his sense of purpose and belonging. The partnership underscored the importance of trust, patience, and mutual care in sustaining long-term happiness and creative fulfillment. Aging as a creative force. As Willie has grown older, he has refused to retreat quietly, continuing to experiment musically, collaborate with artists across genres, and perform with vitality and curiosity. His longevity demonstrates that creativity does not expire with age, and that reinvention is itself a form of survival. He shows that life can remain rich, meaningful, and full of expression at any stage, inspiring others to pursue their passions without fear of limitation. Kris Kristofferson. A lifeline. Among the many relationships Willie has formed, his bond with Kris Kristofferson has been particularly profound. Built on shared outsider status, artistic respect, and songs that spoke to the human condition, their friendship became a quiet but essential support. In private, Willie acknowledges that Kris's words and presence helped him navigate some of his darkest moments, offering guidance and reassurance that extended beyond public acclaim or collaboration. Reflections after loss. After Kris Kristofferson's passing in 2024, Willie spoke openly about what he had carried silently for decades. That Kris was more than a friend or collaborator, he had been a lifeline. This candid reflection highlighted a universal truth, that even legends are shaped by the support, inspiration, and wisdom of others, and that the connections we sometimes take for granted are often what sustain us through the most difficult chapters of life. A life defined by survival. Willie Nelson's story is less about perfection or fame than it is about endurance, resilience, and the capacity to find beauty, meaning, and connection in the midst of adversity. It is a story of falling down and getting back up, of music as refuge, of friendship as salvation, and of honesty as the path to self-discovery. Looking back, he sees the joy, the heartbreak, and the lessons learned, understanding that the sum of these experiences is not just a life lived, but a life fully embraced, still evolving, still singing, and still inspiring others to persevere. The ongoing journey. Even now, Willie continues to write, perform, and share his voice with the world, reminding everyone that courage is often found in persistence, and that the act of moving forward, day by day, is itself a triumph. His legacy is not measured in awards or chart positions alone, but in the lives he has touched, the songs that have comforted listeners through countless moments, and the example he has set as an artist who chooses authenticity, integrity, and connection over convenience or conformity. Willie Nelson's life remains unfinished, still breathing, still evolving, and still offering lessons in resilience, friendship, and the enduring power of song.